Good. What's up, YouTube and podcast listeners? I am Joe Chavarria. Joining me here, I have Alex Rocha, Strata Digital, and Charlene. She is a CPA here in the Houston area. We're all in the same building, actually. And so I'm Joe Chavarria, owner of the Credit Agents. And so today we're launching our first podcast, video series on just everything business related. This is our first unofficial one, so we're just getting started, so bear with us. And at the same time, we don't have a name for this, so maybe you guys can kind of chime in, give us some ideas for the podcast. We're kind of leaning maybe towards like business Avengers and some other pretty cool names. So if you have any ideas and suggestions, feel free to drop them in the comments box or reach out to us and let us know what you think would be a very cool name for the segment, as well as any ideas, any other topics you would like for us to talk about. So I'm going to do a quick intro. I'll let Charlene and Alex introduce themselves and tell us a little bit more about their background. And we're going to talk about some hot topics, maybe share some stories that are going on there in the business world in Houston. So I'm Joe Chavarria. I'm the CEO of The Credit Agents. We're a credit repair company here in Houston. Started off March 6, 2012. We've grown the business to over $2 million in annual revenue, as well as currently employ about 14 people on our team. Team's fired up for a great mission, which is to help people improve their credit scores and help business owners establish business credit and get the alternative funding from the SBA programs that are out there that are very tough to get. Find some alternatives, some ways to get funding for their business. So they can expand, market, hire more, operation expenses, things like that, and help businesses keep on moving. So that's me. I'm Joe Chavarria. Super excited to have you here. Super excited to be here. And Charlene, tell us a little bit about yourself and just what you've been up to.
So my name is Charlene. I'm a CPA. I'm a certified tax coach. I'm also a QuickBooks Pro advisor. We are a CPA firm that we focus on helping business owners to achieve three things. That is to increase profits, reduce taxes, and better manage cash flow. So a lot of business owners don't understand numbers, have difficulty interpreting the results of their operations, their business performance, and we're here to help them understand that, at the same time make sure that they stay out of trouble with the IRS.
That's right. Charlene's actually our CPA here. She does awesome work. She is someone who's super intelligent and passionate. It's tough to find someone who is, both. You find people who are intelligent about, bookkeeping and taxes and all the IRS codes. Like, she's passionate about it. Like, whenever she talks about what she does in networking groups, like, she's like passionate about saving people money. She's passionate about IRS codes, and everyone's like, man, you're so into this. And we're like, we can't get into that, but thank God you are, because that way we don't have to deal with that. It's nice to know that we have an expert in this area who's super passionate about saving businesses money and staying up to date on IRS tax code and law. So this is Alex Rocha. Alex, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've been up to.
My name is Alex Rocha, CEO of Strata Digital. We are a social media marketing agency. We help businesses tell the stories that attract their ideal clients. I've been doing it for over 5 years now. I think what's funny about this group is we all do business with each other,
right,
in some aspect, and that's just a testament to our bond and our level of expertise / passion for each of our industries.
Perfect. So what we're going to do next is we're going to share a couple stories, kind of what we got going on maybe in our personal businesses. I'll share a story of a business owner owns a propane business and is trying to get some funding and kind of running into a pickle right now because everything is he basically borrowed using his personal credit, leveraged his personal assets to get this loan, and he's looking for some ways out of that. So I'll talk about that story and how we're going to help him, and I'll also talk about ways to avoid putting yourself in that position in the first place. And Charlene's going to share a story on some of her clients, and Alex will have some stories as well on some digital marketing cases. Feel free to use us as well, because we're a great success story with that, with partnering with Alex and his company and what that's done for our business. And so again, as well, if there's, as we launch this series, if you have any hot topics or questions about your own business that you would like to have us talk about and chime in, I can talk about just about anything credit related, whether it's personal or business. Charlene knows her stuff on IRS laws and bookkeeping and tax preparation for businesses and individuals. Alex knows his stuff all over digital marketing space. So, we're here to help, we're here to serve, and that's the whole reason why we are doing this. So I'll share a story, and maybe this can relate to some of you guys as well as help you avoid this pitfall. So there's a business owner out in Southwest Houston, propane company, and he's looking to get about 60 grand for the business. The issue is he already borrowed using his personal credit, using a personal guarantee. I think he got a $55,000 loan at the bank to help keep the business afloat. So in the propane business, what I understand is winter's the best month. The winter season is where he's most busy, but then the summertime he's not as in demand, so he had to borrow to kind of keep the business afloat, survive summer, make it to the next winter. And so borrowed money, used his personal credit, gave a personal guarantee, and something happened in his personal life that is forcing him to have to pay that off to be able to do something personally. And he can't do that because he has a $55,000 loan on his personal credit report. It dropped down his credit score from 750 now to the mid 600s. And at the same time, he needs a debt resolved so he can go do what he needed to do personally to help out his family. It was a tragedy that happened. He didn't want to go into too much details, but basically, long story short, he needs that information. He needs that loan off of his personal credit report. He's also considering taking out an equity loan, basically putting his house on the line for the business, and that's scary. That's dangerous. You never want to do that, and we'll talk about that as well. So let me kind of give you how we're going to help them, and then also talk about what you can do to avoid that. So how we can help them, we found out the business is doing about $40,000 a month in revenue. It's a healthy company. The owner has okay credit now because obviously it took a dive from getting that loan. And we're going to take a look at his credit report. So where we're going to be able to help him is the fact that the business alone does at least 40 a month. Okay, so close to 500,000 a year. So there are programs for him to borrow, and they're not the most attractive on the interest rates, but it does solve the problem, which is to get him some quick cash because he's on a time restraint as well. He needs it done within like 30 days. So he needs the money to be able to pay off what he has on his personal credit report. So it's going to solve that problem. The interest rate, because it's a short term, it's like a 6 to 12 month loan. It's not going to be that attractive. It is going to be expensive, but it'll get the job done if it'll allow him to make it through winter. It increases his sales and profitability, and he can pay that off, and he at least survives for another season and makes it to the winter season. But also more importantly, he gets that debt paid off. So how we're going to be able to help him, one of our loan products that we have is we can help him get 10% of his annual revenue, and it's all bank statement related. So personal credit kind of comes into the picture. It does help out with the interest rates, but it's not a deciding factor. Really, as long as you have like a 500 score and you have a healthy bank balance, healthy deposits, consistent deposits, and you're doing at least $100,000 a year in revenue, there's an option to get you at least 10% of your annual revenue advanced to you quickly. Again, the interest rate is not that attractive, but it's going to solve that problem and give them some quick cash. And again, it's all on the business. So he's not personally on the hook for it. It's not going to report to his personal credit report. And the business is the only entity that is on the hook for this loan if he does not pay. And that's the situation you want to be in, because anything that is and Charlene can kind of talk about this as well, and when it kind of goes into commingling and things like that, you want to really kind of keep both separate, both personal and business finances and credit separate, because God forbid, he's just surviving right now. So say that he puts his house on the line, right? He gets an equity loan, puts his house on the line, and the business does not make it. What do you think is going to happen to his house? The bank's going to foreclose. The banks can get his house to pay off the debts, and now he lost the business and he lost his house, right? So that's a situation you don't want to put yourself in. You don't want to bring your family. You don't want to bring your wife, daughter, husband, kids. You don't want to bring them into the business problems. You want to keep that away, right? Because if God forbid something does happen with the business, but the business is the only entity on the hook, then of course in the business he has to walk away from it. They won't come after him personally. The house is left alone, and that's a good situation. Granted, no one wants their business to fail, but studies have shown odds are against us, right? So if you're not going to make it, it's better to be able to walk away from and start something new without having to have any lingering effects to it, like you lost your house, your personal credit took a dive, you had to file, personal bankruptcy, things like that. You really want to try to avoid. So we're going to be able to help them. That's how you can help yourself, is to look for alternative ways. Make sure you really refrain from putting anything personally on the line, like avoid personal credit checks, avoiding personal guarantees. There are options, and I will be talking more about those in future podcasts and YouTube sessions to come. So what do you guys think about that? Anything that stuck out to you? Any of you guys had any similar stories to that, or do you guys agree, disagree with that?
Well, that's kind of your area of expertise. I think Charlene will have some more to say on it.
Yeah, I think the commingling of funds is definitely a very common scenario that business owners do.
Right.
So our advice always is that when you set up an entity, an LLC, it's very important that you set up an EIN with the IRS, and always make sure you keep all your business activities within the same entity, within using one bank account or same account for the business, and not
do you see a lot of commingling? Do you see that like on a percentage basis? What percentage of businesses that you come in contact with would you say are commingling?
It actually happens all the time.
Really?
And people just don't realize the risk of it.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you happen to be chosen for an IRS audit, which they actually picked out cases, randomly, then what's going to happen is the IRS will actually look at your personal transactions as well as your business transactions. So keeping it separated, the advantage is that in an IRS audit, they don't necessarily have to look at all your accounts, including your personal details.
Yeah, I cringe when I hear someone commingling. Like, I have a buddy of mine he's kind of separated himself from his partner because it's a commingling issue, which is one of the issues why they're not getting along. And he's like, the most recent thing was the partner made a personal purchase using the business account, like an $800 transaction, and said, hey, I will pay it back. I just didn't have my debit card or whatever. And I kind of cringe on that. I'm like, oh my God, that's just like, I can only imagine like the partnership and how difficult it is to constantly deal with that kind of stuff. Like, your business partners misusing funds or not communicating on things, or think it's okay to say, hey, I'll use the business account, I'll put it back in, no big deal, we'll figure it out, whatever. I'm sure you see that, quite a bit, as well. But I cringe when it comes to that kind of thing, because I believe just, business is business, personal is personal, and I don't want anyone in my personal business. I don't want the IRS in my personal business. Business is business, home is home, right? So you see a lot of commingling, and so you advise, obviously don't do that, right? And setting up, what's a great way, would you say, like setting up separate accounts, like bank accounts? Is a good way?
So a lot of business owners, once they commingle transactions, it is also hard for them to track their activities for the business. And without tracking activities within the business, it is like you get in your car, driving a car blindfolded. Like, you don't know what's going on with your business. You don't know what kind of revenue you're generating.
Yeah.
You don't know what kind of cash outflow, because your outflow is commingled.
Right.
You have, your bills, your grocery shopping expenses, you have your personal expenses, and after a while you just got used to doing that, and you don't know if you run a profitable business, and that's very dangerous, because in the course of expanding your business, your financial institutions are going to ask for your financial statements, and it'll be very difficult for you to show your results
Right.
over the years.
Absolutely. And I run into that too when, if someone doesn't qualify for a traditional SBA loan or a bank loan, and I'm looking for some alternative funding, and they send me their bank statements, and a lot of it's personal statements or business statements, or they're mingled. It's a pain. It's tough. Like it's going to be a hard sell. Even though this is alternative funding, it still is a hard sell because we need to see what the business is doing, and it's all really what we really care about, right? Anything else going on? Exciting, crazy? You mentioned IRS audit. Do you have a story that sticks out to you of someone you maybe have saved from an audit or anything like that sticks out to you regarding audits?
It just happened this morning. So now that I think for a lot of business owners, those of you who have already submitted your tax return, your business filing deadlines, if you have an S corp, it's actually March. If it's personal, if you have a single member LLC, it's April 15. So most people, at least 50% of people have already submitted your tax return. So a lot of business people during this time is when they actually get IRS notices. My advice for a lot of business owners is that when you see the IRS logo, on an envelope, the first thing that you need to do is
panic.
Never, ever avoid it. What is very important for everybody to know is that the response time, the timing to respond to the IRS is very short. It's very restricted because by the time you get a notice, there's a notice date on your notice, and they typically only allow a window of 30 days. You miss that, there are consequences to it. Sometimes it can go into collection, and if you're running a business, you want to stay out of trouble with the IRS because there are many things the IRS can do to stop you from running your business. So I just kind of want to advise business owners, one, not to panic. The other thing is also, getting an IRS notice is not like you've committed a crime.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, and many times, most of the time, it's few things.
Right.
Like right now, if you have already filed a tax return, you've done your best. If you last year in 16, we have Hurricane Harvey hitting a lot of people in the Houston area, in Harris County. So a lot of people thought that the IRS deadlines have been extended,
Mm-hmm.
but it is only for certain areas.
Right.
And it's not everywhere. So what that means is that it doesn't mean you don't get exemption. What that means is that if you file your tax return late, you simply have to tell the IRS that you're affected by
Right.
Hurricane Harvey, and you need a good practitioner to talk to them, to call them. But the downside is that oftentimes, as practitioner, when we got those notice, it's already way too late.
Mm. So it's
So
hard for you to be
it's already
effective.
sent to collection department. IRS is already starting to collect and place lien, and then after that levy, and all the bad things can happen. So my best advice for business owners today is that if you're dealing with IRS, if you know that there's a letter that you have not opened, open it now and today. The other scenario that's very common, like how people will get IRS notice right now, is that there's a mismatch of payments. IRS is not all-knowing, so they do make mistakes.
Yeah.
Mistakes happen, like one of my clients got a bill of $3,000 when he had already paid, and then when IRS has already, charged the money because there's a mismatch of payments. So
Yeah.
it was just a very simple phone call to tell them, can you check your system, and
Right.
can you make sure that you match up, So that's really not a big deal, but if you don't respond to it, then it becomes a big deal.
Right. So the IRS is not immortal. They're not perfect. They make
Right.
mistakes. They're human too. So stay on top of it, right?
Right,
And
right.
like what you said, which is, if you have problems with them, it could affect your business. It could stop your business. So resolve it so it doesn't get to that point, and get with a reputable CPA. Charlene's here. And she will be diving into a lot more information in the future. I'd love for you to eventually talk about S Corp, C Corp, talk about all that stuff, in the future. We won't have time today, but I know that's going to be something we will talk about. I do want to hear your story. I'm going to bring Alex in, so I'll kind of come back and hear your story and why you decided to be a CPA and how'd you get into it and all that stuff. We'll talk about that. So think about what you want to say. And then Alex, let's actually start off with like your story. Like, you know, why digital marketing? Why'd you pick this industry? How'd you get into it? You know, just tell us, you know, your story and your why.
Yeah, so the way I started as a CPA is, let's see, my whole story goes back into sort of what fit my personality.
Yeah.
Really started in high school, right? Started being more social, cracking out of the shy sort of middle school awkward stage. Met a lot of really awesome people. Started throwing parties that led into the nightlife scene and the actual like career. There are people that you make career. You can make a career out of being in the nightlife scene by managing, operating, marketing venues.
Right.
If you're good, and that takes time and experience. So getting my foot in the door there, because I used to just go out with a bunch of friends as late teens, early 20s. People said, "Hey, you can get paid for that." And I said, "Can." Sign me up.
Yeah.
So just getting my foot in the door, doing it for free for like half a year, and making like $100 a week doing it. I didn't care. I was making pretty decent money at the time in my full-time job, and it was a cool little weekend thing, and you got paid to have a good time. Well, over time, people start noticing that you are significantly impacting their business,
Mm-hmm.
and because of that, my income from that grew. And from that grew additional opportunities into every role you can think of, and that wherever you needed me, they would ask me to do it. Like, hey, I need a bar back real quick. Great, I'll do that. I need a light guy real quick. Great, do that. I need help me close out the night and run all the numbers. Okay, I'll learn how to do that.
Yeah.
Right? I need a door guy. Okay, I'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
So doing all of these things back and forth inside the venue was fun to me because I just like being in that system.
Yeah.
On the behind the scenes,
Right.
how everything operates. So that led into more responsibility, higher leadership. Ultimately got to a point where I was just helping operate different nightclubs and the event company that was doing all that.
Yeah.
Well, flash forward, about 10 years, and into your 30s, you're like, this has been great, but I don't want to be here when I'm 50.
Yeah.
It's awesome, and some people definitely make it a lifelong thing for them. It's great. Just personally for me, it just wasn't where I saw myself heading. So took a side job with the credit agents doing sales for them. Called up Joe. Me and you go way back. Actually, we met through that nightlife
Through the
industry.
nightlife industry.
We formed a really good friendship over the years. Always kept in touch. And
Actually, Alex just carried me outside the bar drunk every night. He was my designated driver.
we formed a really good friendship and always kept in touch. And Joe went off and started his own company. So at that time, at that crossroad in my life, I was just looking for something different.
Mm-hmm.
Something that was not what I'm used to. And believe me, when I left that role, I got a lot of offers
Mm-hmm.
in that space that really were trying to vet me to come work
Right.
for them. I said, I just don't want to be in that industry.
You're burned
anymore.
out.
Burnt out. I've closed that chapter. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Met a lot of amazing people. Developed some really good friendships out of it. But life was leading me somewhere else. So I said, let me get this office job and just see where it goes. And so, going back into, at that time, a small company, I think it was me, you, Frank,
Probably six of us, six
like
or seven of us.
6 or 7 people, very small team. So there's a lot of unity there.
Yeah.
I like that. I resonated with that because it reminded me of way back when I first started into that nightlife scene, it was unified like that. Not that it
Right.
isn't now, but that
It's smaller, it's closer.
small, close-knit family, I got that energy from there, so I enjoyed it. So we really took off in business, and I'm excited. I'm always been excited about building businesses. I've done it over and over again. Right?
Yeah. And that came because opportunities presented itself,
Yeah.
and you took advantage of these opportunities. You said yes to them versus
Yeah.
saying no.
Exactly.
Even if you didn't know it, you did it
It's
and
super
learned
frightening,
it.
right? It's
Yeah.
frightening, right? Like,
Right.
here are the keys.
Right.
Don't mess it up.
Right.
I mean, if you mess up, okay, just don't mess up too bad.
Right.
And so you grow from taking advantage of those opportunities.
Right.
You just dive in and try to learn as much as you can.
And a lot of those skills and experiences you learn from that, you can apply.
I'll tell you one
as you
skill
go.
that I developed out of that form is leadership. You're managing people of all ages, and second part of that coin is your social skills, people skills. Because you shake a lot of hands, you meet a lot of people,
Yeah.
and you learn how to quickly make a connection with somebody that you just met.
Right.
And it's really about your body language, how you smile, how you welcome them, and then asking a lot of questions about them,
Right.
not making it about you.
Yeah.
I learned that. Nobody taught me that. I just
Yeah.
figured that out by shaking so many hands, because ideally you want as many people to come to your venue as possible to
Right.
spend their money.
Right.
On top of that, was leading the team that was managing the night, and that was really fun and challenging because you have so many different personalities. Oftentimes at the back you'd have somebody having a breakdown because the night is so busy, the amount of responsibilities and things that are calling them, pulling different directions, is so high in a condensed period of time that they're just not, they don't have the skills to mentally prepare for that.
Mhm.
So you're having people with mental breakdowns at the back office, and you're trying to talk them off the ledge and tell them it'll be okay. And then at the same time, if somebody's not pulling their weight, learning how to develop an authoritative sort of hand with them, but not in a disrespectful way
Mhm.
or in a demeaning way. Because I saw that
Yeah.
a lot in that industry, where they made people feel like they're just nothing. And I saw how people weren't responding to that.
Yeah.
It was more of like, hey, I know you're better than this and I believe in you. You can do it. Get out there. I don't want to see you mess up again because it's not going to be a fun conversation. So holding them accountable for that high level of performance was something that I learned in that industry. Kind of like leading like a high school basketball team or something, if you will.
Yeah.
So that was fun, developing those leadership skills of interacting with all those people. And I look back and I'm like, man, I really did, because you have an impact on people when you're no longer their boss.
Yeah.
And they call you for guidance. When they see you, their whole mood brightens up and they freak out over you. And at first I had a really hard time understanding, like, why are they still treating me like this?
Mhm.
And then I talked to somebody, he's like, well, because you impacted them.
Mm.
When I left, people, like grown men, cried,
Mm.
which was insane to me. I did not expect that.
I weeped with joy because you were coming over here.
and I'm like, man, it's crazy. It's humbling because I never thought I had that level of impact on them. It was just like, I was just doing my job, in my opinion. But in retrospect, I had
a good impact. Your
I
positive
had,
influence.
I had I'm grateful for the opportunity to have done that. So anyways, so that closed that chapter, right? So going over here, it was fun because it's blossoming into that,
Mhm.
the monster it is now. And then, being in that industry, knowing so many people, and then you pivot industries, that social circle follows you, and they say, hey, I need that product or service that
Yeah.
you're in. So it's very true when people say your net worth equals your net worth. My network has constantly benefited me wherever I've gone.
Mhm.
So people started contacting, hey, I need that credit repair stuff.
Yeah.
And then that's when you and Tony were like, hey, can you help us market this
Yeah.
business? Because you've got a natural talent for them. I'm like, yeah. But it was a new challenge for me because I didn't know how to market it outside of what I was used to.
Right.
So
Right.
it's adapting those fundamentals. Like, these fundamentals here, but how do you adapt it to this industry?
Yeah.
And that's where the digital marketing came into play, because at that time, online marketing, I mean, it's already been around for a little while, but
Yeah.
we really started to see opportunity there. So I just kind of dove in and became a student of it, and I'm still a student of it to this day. I'm still learning and adapting and growing. And
At that time, it was just like SEO, PPC.
Mhm.
That was the plan. That was the strategy, because Facebook hadn't got all their legs yet. They were still figuring it out. It was still new.
It was still
Even though it's been
developing.
around for a little bit of time, but it was still kind of new. But it was all, you want to build your online presence, you want to get online leads, SEO, PPC, which is still applicable today, but
Yeah.
that was it.
Yeah,
And
those
so
are
you-
two ingredients.
Yeah, so you kind of came in and overtook our Facebook
Yeah.
strategy.
And so-
overtook Facebook, period.
Yeah, I mean, 50% of your business today is online.
Yeah.
That you get versus where it was 4 years ago. It was more
It was zero. It was non-existent.
referral based
Yeah.
and just really referral based and word of mouth.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad way to develop. You still want to
Right.
include that. You still want to have that. The way I tell people is like, if something's working, don't abandon it for something that's working a little bit better.
Yeah.
Continue to get that channel of business because you want as much opportunity as possible for
Right.
your business to grow. And if you abandon one channel, you're just losing opportunities there to somebody who's going to take it.
So two things I want to chime in on, and I'm going to come back to your story when I hear your story. One, something you had said, just kind of going back to when you were starting, and Alex actually started off as a sales guy here. He was just a sales rep, and so one thing that I would say as business owners is when you have a team is to identify really what their strengths are and what their passions are. So I noticed that he was good at what he did, but I knew that that's not really where he belonged. I knew that wasn't his calling. I knew that like deep down inside you had this fire that was still lit around marketing. So I knew at some point I was going to bring it up to you and say, look, this is what we need to do. We need to really get you into this role. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know how I can pay you. I just know we need to do it, and I know that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And so I think at that time we barely paid him much of anything. But again, being the guy that's like yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
he did it. Now today you're the CEO of Strata Digital. You have your own digital marketing agency. We're his first client, but he was able to learn a lot here. And basically learn on our dime, which I was okay with because it benefit both of us. But now because you said yes to the opportunity and saying no, I'm comfortable with my paycheck. I'm making sales. I'm going to stay there. I'm not going to do this because you said yes. Like, you know what? F it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Now today, and it's going to be something that because of that decision, because you said yes to that decision, it's going to lead to more opportunities for you. It's going to advance your life and your career. So I would say that as to bring that home, as leaders, as owners, and you have a team, look for their strengths. Okay, highlight their strengths. Jeffrey's behind the scenes over here. He's our digital marketing assistant. He's new, but I'm starting to notice where his strengths are. He was doing some graphic design. I'm like, Jeffrey, stop doing graphic design. Outsource that, because I know that that's taking up a lot of your time, and that's not where your strength is, not where your passion is. Your passion is like really building out funnels. Probably going to see that your strength is also going to be in video editing, and I think I saw some strengths come out of you when you're kind of putting all this room together, and you kind of like, I see a little passion there. You like doing that, so find their strengths and really like allow them to shine in those areas.
Yeah.
Don't cage them. Don't cage them. Because they're worth to you more if they're doing something that is really their passion, their strength. They're worth more to the business if you're allowing them to actually do that.
Don't be afraid to break stuff either.
Yeah,
I've broken a lot of things here in this company while learning.
very true. Very true.
I've made their phones blow up. I didn't know. I knew something was going to happen, but I didn't know their phones were going to blow up, and the people were freaking out, like, "Why are all our customers calling?" So, well, I'll tell you that story later. It's fun.
The second thing I was going to say, which I already forgot, but I think I just kind of tied it into one of those. So if you picked up two things, there's my two things. And if I think about the other second thing, if it was something different, I'll bring it back up. Charlene, your story. Why do you do what you do? How did you get into it? That kind of stuff.
She was born a CPA.
Pretty when you came out the womb and you're already doing tax returns.
That's what I felt like.
So I think I have always.
The nurse said 8 pounds, or 7 pounds. You're like, no, that's incorrect. Let's look at the records. Let's look at it closely. I'm really 6 pounds, 5 ounces. But I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah, what's your story?
I think I've always liked math. I eat, breathe. I do accounting all my life. I went into to the school of accounting. I major in accountancy. I think I was only 18 and I went to college and I took my first accounting class and I felt like it made a lot of sense, and there's something there that I felt like it's probably the easiest subject or course to understand.
For you,
at the
right?
time. Yeah. So I went on and took all the complicated accounting classes, all the core accounting courses, and then I did really well. I
What is it
told
about
my-
numbers that you like? Like, what is it?
It
The
just makes a
answers,
lot, it's just logical thinking. You know, it makes a lot of sense to me. And then
She's naturally gifted.
I finished like top like 3 in my class when I finished my degree in accountancy, and
Okay.
then I went on and take my CPA. It was a lot of joy for me.
Mhm.
I started my career with the big 4 firms. I worked there for 6-7 years and got headhunted to another big 4 firm. So
Is that in Houston or is that?
um, yeah, so I actually went to school in Australia.
Ah.
So, and then I worked in many different countries, have a lot of exposure with the big 4 firms, and I eventually got hired in the US, and then I went to work with 2 other accounting firms and decided to start my own firm.
Mhm.
I really like what I'm doing right now because we, as a firm, we mainly deal with business owners, and business owners who come to us, it's always ever changing. I like the excitement. I like all the challenges. Business owners who picked up the phone and call us oftentimes have very interesting questions. Like I have a long list. Like I have people ask me this week, if I want to grow a new office, what should I do? If I need funding of $1 million to start my business, what do I need? How much revenue or how much sales do I need to break even? How do I streamline so that I get the right margin? Do I hire people as independent contractors or employees? Which one is better? Well, do you get to choose? That's the question. Payroll taxes. How often do I have to pay? Can I not pay payroll taxes? How do I track my profitability? Is my business profitable? How many times have we met people that who have been running business for
Mhm.
over 10 years and do not know and have not seen a profit and loss statement before? We got people who are running very successful business but got really tired. Charlene, I want to sell my business. What should I sell it for? What do I do if I need to sell my business? Then the question is that when do you want to sell it? Do you want to sell it tomorrow, next year, or the next 3 years? Cash flow.
Mhm.
It's a very common struggle for business owners. Business owners always, thinking of, do I have, enough cash flow to grow, expand, hire people, get more sales, get more, invest in more, marketing efforts. So every day we get different questions,
Mhm.
and we feel like over the years we're growing with these business owners, and I've seen it's truly like.
Let me ask you a question.
Mhm.
When you were working for the firm, what made you want to start your business? Was it like, because what I picked up from that is you love the everyday like struggles with businesses and the challenges, and that everything's new. There's always something different every day, and I think that's what kind of keeps you motivated, keeps you passionate about this, and because you're also really good at it, so businesses are gravitated towards you because you're like a magnet who knows all this information. Would you say that you started your business because maybe where you were working at, you kind of interacted with some of these situations and realized, I want to do this, under my own company, and I love doing this, so why not start my own business? Or did you start your business for another reason? All of this started happening, and it just kind of like kept you in. It just sucked you in and just kept you there, kept you to grow it. I guess to sum it up, what would you say was your root reason why you launched your own business?
So there's a, definitely that, entrepreneurial spirit in me that I have always wanted to, run a business on my own. So I've tried like a couple of things, but I felt like running a certified public accounting firm as a CPA, is truly my calling, because that's how I truly was able and am helping many business owners on daily basis. When we were working for the big 4 firms, we probably have one really big client, a major client. We're helping a client to get listed in, the stock exchange, for example. And we have one
Very cool.
client that we work 365 days to have one client, and you're part of a very big team.
Right.
It's very different experience than working with 200 or 300 business owners
Right.
with different struggles and challenges and requests and demands every other month. So, at the level of able to really help people and
Mhm.
help business owners, I feel like in my career right now, I'm definitely fulfilling it.
Would you say that you are self-aware? 'Cause something that stuck out to me was being self-aware. Like, I think it's important in business to be self-aware of yourself and realizing what you're really good at and what you're not good at, and being humble in that. So one thing I picked up, and maybe you can confirm it, is that you realize what you're good at. You realize I'm really good at this. I'm not that good at that,
Mhm.
so I'm gonna just continue focusing on this, and I'm gonna be okay with not being good at that. Okay, realizing that this is over here. This is my calling. Like, this is where I feel like I belong. Would you say that you are a self-aware person, or did someone tell you, "Hey, Charlene, this is what you need to do," or did you realize that like for yourself?
It's definitely a lot of the self-awareness and the desire and determination. I can share a very simple example. I have never baked a cake before.
You're not even like the
you
Betty
know,
Crocker box is like done for you kind of stuff.
I tried that, and I have to admit, I don't have the passion, and I don't even
Yeah.
try to. But as much as I know about the tax code
Right.
and the U.S. GAAP accounting standards, I am still investing a lot of my time on a daily basis
Mhm.
because that's my passion. If there's any update, if there's any new things that are happening to business community, if there's any new changes, I'm really excited to find out. So I'm definitely okay with me not being able to bake a cake.
Right. Yeah, and I'm glad you don't know how. I'm really glad you know how to do what you do, because it's important, because I got to go to you for those things, and I trust you for those things, and I like that. Alex, same question, being self-aware. Like, did someone just tell you, hey, you're good at digital marketing, is what you should do, or did you kind of like figure out, like, I'm good in these things, but I'm really good over here?
Well, for me, it's awareness of what I'm good at is. It takes a little bit of time to figure that out in life,
Mhm.
right? Some people are lucky enough off the bat they know it. Some people are like, I'm gonna try everything and see
Yeah.
what I like. So, for me, it's always underlining been there.
Yeah.
I just never been able to say pinpoint it and say this is what I'm really good at.
Yeah.
Until I got into this realm right here.
Yeah.
Because it's part art, part craft.
Right.
I mean, part art, part science, which is very much my personality.
Yeah, and I think you said something very important, and my advice on that would be kind of looking at your story, your journey. Alex, is like in the very beginning, because you didn't really know what are you really, really, really good at. So you tried everything.
Mm.
And I think like kids coming out of college or coming out of high school, they're not too sure, hey, what I'm really good at or what I really want to do. I think your story is perfect for them because it's like, just try everything.
Mhm.
Don't say no to certain things. Try everything. Just don't try sleeping all the time. Don't try, avoiding life, avoiding the world. Like, get messy, get dirty, make mistakes, try everything. And along the way, maybe that journey's 2 years, maybe it's 5 years, maybe it's 10 years. But along the way, you find out, like, I love this.
Mhm.
I'm very good at this. And a lot of people need this, and I can help those people get to their goals. So therefore, usually I think that's like the breeding ground for starting a business, is realizing I'm very good at something and I love doing this thing, and there's people that need it, and I want to help these people get there. So that would be my advice to some of our audience, our younger audience, teenagers and people graduating out of college. Don't be afraid to, if you don't know what you want to do, if you don't know like what your passion is, what your calling is, just try everything until you figure it out, until you find out what you're really, really good at. Because that's kind of how I did it too. I mean, probably you too as well. You just decided you like numbers and you're really good at it, so you decided to pursue accounting. But along the way, you didn't realize, like, I like business owners and I like challenges and I like helping them, and so therefore, started a business. Your parents, entrepreneurs themselves, they own businesses?
No.
Are you the first in the fam to kind of start your own business?
Yeah, I have family members who are business owners, so I'm not the first.
Okay. Okay. And then your parents,
Yeah,
business owners?
yeah.
Okay.
They had like a small like sports bar for a while.
Yeah.
Did very well.
A lot of people think that if your parents are business owners, you'll follow in those footsteps. Or if your parents aren't business owners, you won't follow in the footsteps. So we just debunked that myth right there because Alex's parents is business owners, your parents not, both in business today. My parents kind of right in the middle. So my dad had a full-time job, but he also had a side business.
Yeah.
So kind of right little in between. And I think that's what kind of motivated me to, or I guess where I maybe get my entrepreneur spirit from is because he would take me on projects where he had a side solar screen business, still has it today. He's not as active. He was back then when me and my brother were younger, so he had to get that cash, make some extra money because we're expensive growing up. I wanted the latest pair of Jordans and I wanted Polo and Ralph Lauren. I wanted the stuff. And he's, I'm very convincing, as you notice. I'm a sales guy by nature, so I know how to convince my dad, to get me something. And so yeah, he worked harder for it. So he started a solar screen business on the side, but he didn't go do it and just give you the money. He said, you want this stuff, you're going to come work with me too. And I'm like, hey, I'm good with that. I want to do it. So I got to see him like do everything in the business, from like taking a sales call, doing a customer support call, installation, manufacturing. My favorite part of it was payments, getting money. I liked that part because he would get in the truck. I remember I hated when he got a check because it was boring. Like a check, it's boring. We gotta go to the bank now. We gotta do all this stuff. I want to go home now. I love when he had cash because that meant we got home faster. And he would show me like an envelope full of cash. He got paid $2,000 or $3,000 in the project, full of hundreds and 20s. Me being like 12 at the time, I've only seen like singles, in quarters. I'm like, holy smokes, that's a lot of money, Dad. So that right there, like I just knew, like I love this, whatever he's doing. Like, Dad, can we do more of this? I like working with you. I like doing these things, and we should do more of this. So I think that's where I got some of my entrepreneur spirit from. So my dad's kind of in the middle. He had a full-time job. He never left his full-time job. Still has it today. Because he liked that security. He liked that, and he's been with that company for well over 20 years, and I'm sure he has his purpose there too. He feels like I'm part of this company and I can't really leave it because it's not just about money. It's about like what I belong to and my purpose. I like doing this. But he did the side business just to help, provide a roof over our head, get us in a good position. But I saw that, I picked up on that, and I think that's being applied today, where I'm at today. Final thoughts, guys. Let's kind of bring this home. Final thoughts to anybody. Final thoughts. Anybody out there building their business?
I say that if you're curious about any aspect of life, test it out.
I like that. I think that's what we can sum up Alex's story so far. We talked about is try everything. Don't say no. Test things out. So I think that's going to be your sign off right there. Try everything. Test things out. Charlene, you, final thoughts?
I think for all the business owners out there, you will never really be ready. There's not one day that you'll be completely ready to everything. The secret to success is always execution. I always think like ideas, a lot of people can have a lot of ideas, but just not very many people can execute. So it's just like the tagline for Nike, just do it.
I love it. My final thought is if you have a team, find out what they're really good at, where their passion lies, and what they're really strong at, and let them shine. Let them do that. So, Charlene, Alex, if someone wants to get in contact with you for digital marketing, how can they get in contact with you?
Go to my website, strata.digital, or email me, hello@strata.digital.
Okay, Charlene?
Yeah, you can go to our website. It's www.xqcpahouston.com.
And we'll make sure we put those links in the description in the comments box and how we can get in contact. And if you're a business owner, you need help with your personal credit or building business credit or some alternative funding options, I'm Joe Chavarria. My team here can help you, and the link and phone number will be in the description as well. So appreciate you guys being here, and stay tuned for our next session. We promise to deliver more content, more information. We just want to equip you, business owners, to be successful in the marketplace. Take care, guys. Thanks a lot.